Hey, welcome to Lesson 3, Why Homeschool? You may be feeling like this is an unnecessary lesson and you'd really like to get down to business, but through coaching other homeschoolers and even my own experiences, I've found it to be extremely beneficial to spend some time reflecting on the reasons behind your decision to teach your kids yourself. This will really be something that you'll return to year after year, and it's really going to tether you when bumps in the road pop up along the way and you find yourself floundering a bit. So we need to be clear about what is driving us towards this big step. So when we think about homeschooling, I want us to think into the future. Depending on how old your child is right now, this may be way into the future or just a few years, but I want us to imagine our children at graduation. Graduation is often the end goal in our minds, and even if we haven't sat down to think about it, we have goals for our children when they reach that point. That end goal, we call that our destination. Now, there are many different routes we can take to get there, just like when we decide to take a road trip across the country and we have to decide on the best possible route. There is going to be a more scenic route that might be a bit longer and out of our way. There will probably be a route that is fastest, but maybe with the potential for more traffic and fewer interesting stops along the way. We will definitely want to take gas stations into consideration, as well as terrain and possible weather. There are lots of things to consider, and once we decide on a route, we can look back and say that there were solid reasons that we chose that specific route. And those are called our motivations. They are the things that we prioritized that led us to that specific choice. And that route is really going to dictate how we roll into that final destination. Will we be arriving clawing and scratching to get out of the car with very little gas in the tank, or will we arrive with fun memories, plenty of rest, and a nice full tank of gas? So let's talk about our homeschool roadmap and why we chose this route. There are really endless reasons that we could mention as to why people choose homeschooling over conventional school, but we will talk through some of the more popular ones. The most common one you hear is safety. Many parents are growing increasingly concerned about their children's safety at school, and this is also a very broad statement. So it covers quite a few different issues. We could be referring to the uptick in shootings and violence in schools across the country. Some are more concerned by the increased bullying that we covered recently, or sometimes it's more the idea of someone who is virtually a stranger teaching your child around 6 hours out of the day that makes some parents uneasy. Control of their child's education is also a biggie. Many parents are not loving what children are being taught in the public school system these days and feel that the education system is really overstepping their bounds. The school has taken it into its own hands to teach more and more on sensitive topics at a younger and younger age, and that really goes against what many parents want for their children. We've talked a bit about the lack of freedom that the school schedule provides. It's completely foreign to me when some parents talk about needing to schedule their trips and vacations around their kids' school schedules, because doing school on the go or taking breaks whenever we deem necessary is always the way our family has operated. So as my children's main educator, along with my husband, I decide when we can skip town and how much we need to get done while we are away, if any. And this sounds appealing to many parents who are tired of working around school days and school events. Convenience is also a big factor for some. I've talked to quite a few families who have one or both parents traveling frequently, and they want the kids and spouse to be able to tag along whenever they can. So they do a form of road schooling. And even if that's not your situation, it's hard to say that homeschooling is not convenient when you are able to work it completely around your commitments, your work schedule, and your own preferences. Religious beliefs often play a large part in parents wanting to be the primary voice in their children's ears, since the public school system is often teaching a completely different worldview than what their family believes or practices. Homeschooling parents are able to work in Bible lessons and whatever else may be important to them on any given school day and incorporate the beliefs that they hold into all of their kids' education. Many are also concerned about the quality of the education itself within the public school system. It's gone decidedly downhill in recent years, and many are starting to realize this and growing concerned about how much or maybe how little their kids are learning day to day. So the last thing I most commonly hear for motivations to homeschool is that the child possesses some sort of learning disability or difficulty in school. Sometimes it's as simple as having a hard time sitting still. And sometimes it's a much more complex diagnosis that makes school just a difficult place for them to be, let alone learn. Homeschooling can often be a haven for those kids and a way for them to receive an education that best fits their unique needs. So these are all examples of motivations for choosing to homeschool over putting your kids on the bus in the morning. And maybe you resonated with some of these, all of these, or maybe none of these at all. But either way, you do have a reason. So I want you to be thinking about that because that plays a vital role in the route that you're going to take. Now, let's talk about our destination or the end goal for our kiddos. Parents hope for many things when it comes to their child's future, and this is another thing that's going to play into your choice of your route. Different routes bring us to different destinations in different conditions and carrying different things. Some parents want their children to graduate with financial security, or at least the knowledge or plan of how to obtain financial security. Some want them to be confident, successful in academics, an independent thinker, kind and considerate to others, wealthy so that they don't have to struggle financially, or just overall intelligent people. We can go pretty deep with this because this cuts to the core of who each person is and where they find their own worth, as well as where they want their children to find their worth. But I digress. Spend some time thinking about not what others around you want your kids to be, but what you personally think is most important for your children as they someday merge into adulthood. So if you haven't already, open your planner to the first page and take a look at the motivation worksheet. I'm giving you some examples here to help you think about what led you to decide that homeschooling is the right path. Some of the reasons that we decided to homeschool are that we want our children to be in a safe environment every day. We want to see them more than just in the evenings on weekdays. We value family bonding and want more opportunities for that. We want to teach them life skills and values that we believe are important. We want the flexibility to travel and go wherever we'd like on our own schedule. We would like to have control over what they are learning so that we feel that their time is well spent. And we also just want to cut down on the busyness in our lives and allow room to just enjoy being together. So once you've completed that, turn to your destination page and think about what you ultimately want for your children. You can write down some obvious things like a roof over their head, and you can go deeper with it as well. So for us, we want our children, first and foremost, to love the Lord, and they're raised in a home learning about our faith. We want them to enjoy learning. We want them to be clear about what they believe and be able to answer why they believe it. We want them to be kind and selfless people. We want them to have wisdom when faced with tough decisions. We want them to be sure that they are loved by their parents, and we want them to be confident and secure as they grow into adulthood. Now, you'll notice that not many of these things have much to do with academics. We are not overly concerned with our kids being the most intelligent people around or being wealthy or powerful. Their character is much more important to us. So while we aim to teach them faithfully and hope that they find joy in learning about the world around them, straight A's and scholarships are not our main goal. whatever you do, save these pages because you will return to them again and again this year and probably for years to come. And your list may change a bit from year to year, but it's going to help realign and reorient you when you're tempted to get bogged down in the day-to-day details of homeschooling and you just need a moment to see the bird's eye view. Losing perspective can really be a constant struggle in every area of life, and homeschooling is no exception. So we need to be prepared for those things that we've forgotten and why we got here in the first place. So that's it for this lesson. Take your time filling out this portion of your planner, and whenever you're ready, I'll see you over in the next lesson.